feel me? 3 in a row. They love to talk all that big. They said Tom not here or whatever. You feel me? They love to talk all that big. They said Tom not here or whatever. You feel me? They think they finna just run. This damn division still go through us, bro.
If you heard that voice, that was your starting linebacker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Devin White. Talking about the Saints, they were talking so much trash this week. They thought the Bucs was going to be an easy game. But if you watch this Sunday, you know the Bucs are still the kings of the NFC South. And if you're hearing this voice, this is the TB3 podcast, and we're ready to talk about it.
Yeah, who dat? It's the TB3 podcast, not the Saints, because those bozos got sent packing in their own stadium this week as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers play their first NFC South game, and they win their first NFC South game. I mean, what an absolute great performance here. How you feeling, Joel?
Did you say the Saints? Because I thought I heard the Aints.
Yes, sir.
That's right, baby. This is the first time in a long time, I want to say, that the Bucs have had a 3-game winning streak against the Saints.
It was not the first time in a long time. It's the first time ever.
First time ever?
First time ever.
I didn't want to risk it and be wrong, but I've heard that lately, and I'm like, that's awesome and also crazy.
And hey, Cam Jordan, are you ready to call a rivalry now? Are you ready to call a rivalry now? Because we own you guys. We own you.
Yeah, and I mean, Louisianians were sad yesterday, which means the rest of America should be happy. And that's all I got to say, man. What a game. You guys are listening to episode 11 of the TB3 podcast. You guys might be getting real used to our voices because you guys heard us yesterday or the day before, because we have right now out on Spotify and YouTube a Rays playoff special. We got a whole roundtable. It was TB5 that night, and we talked all things 2023 regular season, all things playoffs for the Rays. So go check that out. But this is your normal, regularly scheduled TB3 podcast, and I'm excited to talk all the Tampa Bay sports today.
Yes, we're talking about a new team this week as well. Some big news coming out of that camp. So we will let you know when we start talking about them. Stay tuned.
Finally bringing the Rowdies into the mix.
Oh, yes, maybe.
Finally hitting on some Tampa Bay cannons.
We're talking about Tampa Bay Storm today.
Tampa Bay Storm.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, man. But I think we got to talk about the team that's been on everybody's mind, a big victory on Sunday, and let's get into the details. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are facing the New Orleans Saints, who there was a lot of talks at the beginning of the year that the Derek Carr was going to lead them to the promised land. The Saints are finally rebuilt, and they have a franchise quarterback, but unfortunately the Bucs had to spoil the day. Bully for them. We start the game at 1 p.m. in the Mercedes-Benz. Sorry, not the Mercedes-Benz, the Little Caesars Sports Arena. And the Saints would get the ball first. They would drive down the field 56 yards in 5 minutes and 40 seconds and kick an early field goal. The Bucs would get their first drive going and take the ball 32 yards down the field, take up 4 minutes, but they would have to punt the ball. And that would be it for the first quarter, a slew of punts. Tampa Bay is down 3-0 going into the second quarter. But the Bucs are getting revved up. You know, once the second quarter hits, they start to figure it out, and they do exactly that. Baker Mayfield would lead the Buccaneers down the field 87 yards and take up 8 minutes and 51 seconds. Yes, you heard that right, 8 minutes and 51 seconds. And Baker Mayfield would throw a strike to the corner of the end zone to the rookie, Trey Palmer. Fire the cannons, get them going. Then the Saints would have to punt the ball, and there's a little bit of time left for the Bucs to maybe go up 14-3. Let's hope. Baker Mayfield on that drive would hit Devin Tompkins for 26 yards. You're going to hear a lot about him today. But unfortunately, Baker Mayfield would throw an interception trying to force it, and the Bucs would turn the ball over. The Saints, however, were not able to get the touchback, so they're at the 1 yard line. They would hand it off, and Antoine Winfield comes in for the strip and gets a fumble recovery. He is all over the field. He is an animal. The Bucs now have a couple seconds left. Can they score a touchdown? And they would do exactly that. Baker Mayfield, another touchdown pass, and the Bucs would go up 14-3.
So basically, that interception, just look at that more as like a 10-yard gain. Like, that's what that was.
That's at the bottom
Ball don't
line.
lie.
That's what it was. Ball
Yeah,
don't.
pretty much.
Yeah, yeah. And Antoine Winfield is the best safety in football. But get to the second half, Will.
The second half, we were hoping, since the Bucs got the ball to start it, that they would go up 21-3. Unfortunately, they would have to punt the ball away to the Saints, who would do something. No, they would not. They would punt the ball. The Bucs, can they go up 21-3 now? No, they would punt the ball again. It is still 14-3 in the third quarter. The Saints, however, would kick a field goal and answer the bell. Now it could be a one-score game if they get a 2-point conversion. The Bucs, though, would answer right back and get a field goal of their own. But the Saints were not done. They couldn't score a touchdown, but they answered with another field goal. It is now 17-9. But the Buccaneers are so clutch, and when they play with the lead, it is hard to come back on them. Baker Mayfield would drive the Bucs down the field. He has all the time in the world, 3rd and goal at the New Orleans 5. He's looking, nobody's open, but he's still staying patient, and he throws a strike to a diving Devin Tompkins for a touchdown, and the Bucs would go up 23-9. Can the Saints answer? Derek Carr is in the pocket. He's looking to throw, and he gets sacked by Vita Vea. The ball is out. The Bucs recover inside New Orleans territory, and the Bucs would kick a field goal to go up 26-9. Then Jameis Winston, does he have any magic left? With a couple minutes left for the Saints, he would throw one pass, and it would be intercepted by D. Delaney.
Poetic
the Bucs
justice.
would win the game. Solid performance by the defense, not allowing a single touchdown, and the Bucs would put up 26 points. What a game. The Bucs dominate the Saints in New Orleans and start the year 3-1.
I just
Didn't
can't-
see that coming, ESPN,
Yeah,
did you?
and I just can't stress to you guys how much of a cherry on top of this win Jameis Winston throwing an interception on his only pass of the game. I mean, I don't have any hard feelings towards Jameis Winston, but I'm just glad to see he's doing it with the other teams. He didn't stop being careless with the football when he got in the Bucs. And I was hoping to see him the whole game, but they went with Derek Carr, and that didn't work out much better for him because this Bucs defense is stout. Last week was an aberration. It was not the normal. This is the Bucs defense. They are elite. And maybe it's just all about Carlton Davis because he was back and he made a big difference.
Yeah, having your secondary is huge when you are asked so much of by Todd Bowles on the defense. That have him back was very big. But again, man, it all starts up front. Bucs were able to get some pressure. Vita Vea getting a strip sack. Man, you cannot stop that man. You can't stop him. You think, oh, he's just a run eater. Nope, he can pass rush too, and he can get to the quarterback quick. So I love to see him make that play. That was huge for the Bucs. I can't talk enough about this defense. And like I said at the beginning of the year, this defense will keep you in any game. They will keep you in any game. And if you can build a lead on offense, this team will close it out. They will not blow it. That's what I'm talking about, baby. I love the Bucs defense.
It was nice seeing Vita Vea back at full health, too, because in the Eagles game, he was a little bit banged up, and it kind of showed on the scoreboard there a little bit. So it's like when this defense is playing at all cylinders, we look pretty good.
And I feel like the whole Bucs team sat down in a circle last week and listened to the TB3 podcast because we had a lot of demands and questions and stuff going into that game. And I feel like every single one of them was answered plus some. Because, I mean, we talked about Vita Vea, Shaq Barrett, JTS. All those guys were non-existent against the Eagles. And in this game, they were disruptive. Vita Vea ended up with 2 sacks. Shaq Barrett was all over the place making tackles. He was tackling people downfield. He was doing all the stuff. And then also, JTS got in there. He didn't have as big of a game, but he was still – you could still feel his presence. You could still feel all of that line's presence, and we needed that, and that's why they didn't score a touchdown.
Yeah, again, shout out to Joe Tyron Shoyinka, JTS. I think one thing, again, that goes unnoticed in the stat sheet was his run defense. He was blowing up the tackles and forcing the running backs for the Saints to pause and letting the big boy get in there to make a tackle for loss or the linebackers flying in. So shout out to him. He was making some plays even though he might not have filled up the stat sheet.
And we have gone too long. I think we could talk about Antoine Winfield for 2 hours straight because this dude is having an amazing season, and this was the culmination of that. He had an absolutely monster game. We mentioned the peanut punch before the end of the first half. He also recovered his own fumble because he's so good, he can do all of that. He also had 9 tackles. He had a sack. He had 2 tackles for loss and a pass breakup on what would have been a touchdown if he didn't break it up. I mean, this dude, ever since he's been in the NFL, if he was healthy, he was a game breaker. And he's healthy, and he's breaking the game. I mean, all over the place, all the time.
It's in a game like this where you're like, we needed to re-sign this guy yesterday. Like, forget everybody in front of him. Make sure this guy is locked up while he still maybe would take a little bit of value just for being younger. Like, get him signed.
Yeah, we need to keep him around. He's a franchise guy. He is a true leader. And he reminds me a lot of Troy Polamalu, man, where he's just all over the field, and he can do it all. He can really do it all. You need a sack, he's going to fly in and kill the quarterback. You need an interception, he's going to do that. You need a huge tackle for loss, he's going to do that. He doesn't care about his body. He's going to go in and kill whoever has the football, and you love to see that. You just love it, man.
And the impressive part is he's flying around the ball, he's going fast, all the thing, but he's also a very sure tackler. And to be, flying all over the place, going at 100 miles per hour, chasing people down from sideline to sideline, and still able to not over pursue or miss the tackle and wrap up is something that I cannot overstate how impressive it is what he does. And I mean, I think this game might be the national waking up to him because he should get some Defensive Player of the Week nomination and awards, and I think he was just amazing on Sunday.
Yeah, extremely amazing, man. I would love to see that all year, man. And again, just keep it up, and that motivates the rest of the defense. When you see your boys flying around, attacking the football, that motivates everybody else to do the same thing. And he is a true leader on that defense.
And I think we need to talk about the rest of the secondary because they played an absolutely phenomenal game. I mean, the Saints only had 127 total passing yards in the game. And, I mean, this is without your cornerback, too, Jamel Dean, which this might say something about the way he's been playing, that without Davis, we looked lost, but without Dean, we did not look lost. Because Zion McCollum, I have to say, probably played the best game of his young career. He was covering. He was getting up and tackling wide receivers and running backs. Making good plays. I can only recall a few passes, and they weren't explosive, that were completed on him. And he played great. Christian Eisen continues to just be an absolute dog. It's a given at this point, which is crazy for an undrafted rookie. And then D. Delaney, all he does is come in and make plays. I mean, this dude, all he does is come in, get an interception or get a sack or stuff like that. So, I mean, it's great to have a player like that on your team.
Yeah, obviously you love Jamel Dean and Carlton Davis as your starters, but it is a good problem to have to see Christian Eisen, D. Delaney, Zion McCollum all itching to get some playing time, and when they go in, they produce, man. And that's a next man up mentality, and you feel more confident going into any game that you know if somebody goes down, we got a solid guy to come in. And can you seriously believe Christian Eisen was an undrafted free agent? I mean, that's hard to believe, man. What were all these teams thinking not picking this guy up? I mean, he is unbelievable.
I was just sorry, I was quiet. I was trying to remember the game, and it was November 8th, 2020. The Bucs lose to the Saints 38-3. We were at that game, right?
No, but
that was a 9-0, right?
Yeah, that was different game, but same
right.
heartbreaks.
Okay, same heartbreak. We had so many heartbreaks to the Saints. It's one of those games where the Bucs didn't score any touchdowns. We didn't score anything on that one. But this 38-3 one, just another heartbreaker. We return to the favorite of the Saints. How does it feel to get no touchdowns?
Yeah.
It hurts really, really bad.
Yeah,
So you're welcome.
That's
New
true.
Orleans Saints.
That does give me some vindication for going to Tom Brady's only career shutout or whatever
Yeah.
that was.
That
he didn't score a touchdown. They got 3.
That was
but
yeah.
still.
They had 3 field goals that game.
No,
But-
well, the one we went to was 9-3.
Okay. This one was
Was it 9-0? Did they even score?
I thought they got 3. I think it was 9-3.
It was something like that.
But-
So here's 38-3.
Yeah,
I was looking at
I
Google,
remember
I'm
that game too.
I'm like, oh, look, here's another one where we only scored 3.
Yeah,
I just looked up no touchdowns, Bucs, and the other team.
It's not. I mean, it's not uncommon to see a bad Bucs loss against the Saints. It's a team that's given us fits all throughout the 2010s, and since the 2020s, it's kind of tilted back to the Bucs way, which is great because I absolutely despise the Saints. I don't like them at all.
I can't stand them.
They're called the Aints for a reason.
What do you
I
think
don't like
about
'em.
this? Brady's first game against the Saints, 0-1. Baker, 1-0.
Oh, already some better stats.
Big deal, big deal.
Give him the GOAT status, honestly, at this point.
Yes, man. Baker Mayfield was insane. He went 25 for 32, 246 yards, and 3 touchdowns. The interception was a little questionable, but he was able to redeem himself throwing a touchdown pass when the Bucs get the ball back. And I wanted to kind of bring this up as well because there was a lot of talk at the beginning of the year that Baker might not even be the second or third best quarterback in the NFC South. But tell me who you would want as your starting quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's look at Bryce Young. 503 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions with a 75 QB rating. Desmond Ridder of the Falcons, 744 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions with a 77.9 QBR. And then Derek Carr, 763 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions with an 80.1 rating. These are all after the first 4 weeks. And then Baker Mayfield, 882 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and 101.5 QB rating. Who are you taking? Who are you taking? Because it looks like there is one leader, and he's on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I cannot tell you how proud I am of Baker. He's won the locker room over, and I get excited to see him. I have faith in him. I was a little skeptical at the start, just like everybody was, but I'm starting to believe, man. I'm starting to believe he's got what it takes to lead this team.
I fully agree. As of today, I don't know how some of those prospects are going to be coming in the next few years, but today, on this day, as we were recording this, Baker Mayfield is my quarterback. I am in the kitchen, and he is cooking something up good for me.
It's time to bake.
Yeah, and we're baking, and we got to remember, Baker Mayfield's not that old. And he was the number 1 pick, so it's not like the talent was ever the question. So the fact that he's putting it together and he has the talent, we might be looking at your Bucs quarterback for the foreseeable future if these first 4 games hold to be the rest of the season. And I also want to say, Baker Mayfield, also a podcast listener, because last week we told him to just start slinging the ball. Gunslinger Baker with the flintlocks. That's what we want, and that's what he was doing. He was, running around all over the place, fitting balls in tight windows. Even the interception, he tried to sling it in there. It was a bad throw, but I'd rather see that than him hesitating and pump faking like he was against the Eagles. So, Baker, thanks for your listen to the podcast. We will give you tips like this anytime you want because we love you.
You are easily coached, Baker. That's what I appreciate.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah, like you were told that in the locker room this week, like, hey, let's pump fakes, and you did it. And we, as the fans, say thank you.
Yeah, he was looking a lot more confident too. I know the one interception was a little questionable. I feel like he forced it. But on the touchdown drive before that, and I said Trey Palmer, he scored the second touchdown. The first touchdown was Cade Otton. But on that 8-minute and 51-second drive, Baker Mayfield did not throw an incomplete pass. He was perfect all the way down the field and capped it off with a touchdown. And he looked confident throughout the game. Looked 100% confident, and you love to see that.
And
It's amazing he took that much time.
Oh my gosh! Because we were talking about the Eagles in their 9-minute drive to finish the game.
Thank you, we did it.
We
could do it too.
The Bucs did pick up something from that game.
We learned.
Yeah, but also another reflection on how good Baker's been and how good offensive coordinator Dave Canales has been throughout the season is the Bucs are now 5th in the NFL in third down conversion percentage at 47.37%. So almost half the time the Bucs are converting third down. I'll take that any day of the week because that's where football games are won, is on third down.
Yeah, that's so huge, especially be clutch. And I think it's no knock on Brady, but when you were 3rd and long last year, you knew all we could do was throw the ball or basically run a give-up play. And to have Baker Mayfield with the option where he can take off with his legs, and he's not lightning fast, but he's fast enough to get the job done. And it just adds something else to where defenses are going to have to respect it. They can no longer just tee off and wait for a slow Brady to make a pass. They got Baker Mayfield who can run. He can damage you with his legs.
Yeah.
I saw somebody on social media say that we wouldn't have won this game had Tom Brady been playing. So it's true. It's like, thank you, Baker. We love Tom Brady. He got us a Super Bowl. We will never forget it. We're going to get him a statue one day. We're going to retire his number one day. We're going to do all of it. But Baker Mayfield won us that game last night.
And also, like Will mentioned the 3rd and longs, he makes a difference in that. But also the 3rd and medium where it's 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. Having the threat to run is so huge in those situations because, you have Tom Brady. I don't think he's making it 6 yards where he gets tackled. But
Never.
Baker Mayfield, he's going to make it 6 yards, and he might make a defender look silly on the way. So it's a huge difference, and I think you have to give so much credit to Baker and the pass blocking for such good 3rd down conversion rate. That's huge. I love it as a Bucs fan. Just absolutely love it.
Yes, you love to see it. The offensive line stepped it up big time. Pass rush has been solid all year, but they show out again. But I'd say another segue is they looked a little bit better in the run game, too.
Two-dimensional
They did.
offense?
A little bit better.
There were some holes. There were some holes.
Yeah, 114 yards rushing for the Buccaneers in this game, which isn't crazy in the grand scheme of things. But when you get that type of production, you got Rachaad White going for 56 yards after the TB3 boys ripped into him. Maybe not ripped, but he looked like a whole different person. He was hitting the hole. He wasn't hesitating. It was almost like he was listening to the podcast or something. I don't know. But on a real note, he ran so good this week. He had a reception on that long touchdown drive, I'm pretty sure, where he got a catch about 3 or 4 yards short of the sticks, and he made 2 people miss to get the first down and set the Bucs up for their first touchdown, which was a huge play. And every time we can get a 4 or 5 yard rush, that is just so instrumental in our offense. It's such a difference maker. 3rd and 5, 2nd and 5 is so much different than 3rd and 11 or 2nd and 11. It's so huge.
Yeah, because we're more and more of a nickel and diming team right now, right? Like I wouldn't really say we're going for that big play. Like we got the big play, and look at what happened. We got an interception.
Yeah, explosives would be nice, but just being smart with the football and just punishing teams by those long drives, keeping the defense out there, making them gas. That's also big, too, and you can see how well it's worked for them, where they've controlled the entire quarters of the game just because they've been out there for so long. So you love to see that. And, again, I think Rachaad White, he definitely played better, but I still think you have to give more credit to the offensive line because, like I've said, for 2 years now, the problem has been our running game, and that hasn't necessarily been the running back's fault. It's been the offensive line's inability to block downfield and create some open gaps for anybody to run through. So I think you got to shout out them the most. Rachaad White did play better, but this is really on the offensive line.
Yeah, and shout out those guards, Matt Feeler, Cody Mouch. They seem to be all over the place. Every time I'm seeing replays, I'm seeing Big Ginge, the new Big Ginge, all around the play. I'm seeing Feeler, even Hainsey, because these runs, I know we call for the outside runs, but these runs were down the middle. They were just off the tackle or right down the middle, and there was holes. And this is not a slouchy line. Like when the Bucs ran against the Bears, we could kind of point to competition, but the Saints have a really good front seven. So this was just a really good job by the offensive line and the running backs this game.
Yeah, shout out to the New Orleans Saints. Thank you for letting us figure out our running game this week. Really appreciate it. You guys helped us out so much there. I have to shout you guys out. Help us get a big dub there.
Yeah. I mean, like the national media have been saying every week, it was like, well, the teams at the Bucs beat, they're 0-2, and now this week they're 1-3. So this week we were able to beat a good team. Like last week with the Eagles, it was kind of like, okay, maybe we need to eat a slice of humble pie, guys, because the teams that we beat haven't won a game yet. But now we have beaten a competitive team, and it feels nice.
And another thing that we said on the podcast that came true, Mr. Chris Godwin had his best game of the 2023 season. He ended up with 8 receptions for 114 yards, and Baker targeted him 11 times. Chris Godwin is such a good receiver. I'm so glad that I think Baker and him have kind of turned the page and gotten on that same page because he's so good. He's such a good wide receiver too. He stepped up to be wide receiver 1 when Mike was out for that second half. And I love to see Chris Godwin getting these type of targets, and I hope we keep doing it because he delivered. Yeah,
with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, I wouldn't say it's 1 and 2. It's more like 1A and 1B just because they're so dangerous. But yeah, for those of you who might not have watched, Mike Evans did go out with a hamstring issue, but he should be ready to go after the bye week. The Bucs do have a bye week next week, so hopefully
really well timed bye week too.
Yes,
the Baker was saying it's going to stink in the long term, but like right now it's great to be getting this when you can start healing.
Yeah, it's nice. They have a couple injuries that they need to heal up, including Mike Evans. But yeah, Chris Godwin stepped up, and then I think, like I said earlier, we got to talk about Devin Tompkins. He had 4 receptions for 45 yards. That's an average of 11.3 and a huge touchdown. If you didn't see it, go watch it. I mean, Superman dives to get this ball. I don't think I've ever seen somebody jump that far and still make the catch and hold on to it for a touchdown. So when somebody goes down, like I said, next man up mentality, and Devin Tompkins was able to deliver after Mike Evans went out, and that is huge for this team. We need that. We need guys to step up because in the long run, too, we don't have Mike Evans forever, especially with the contract thing. But again, shout out to Mike Evans for playing through it. He's playing amazing, man, and it stings to see him go down, but you still got to shout him out. While he was in the game, he had 3 catches for 40 yards. So you can see how well he's playing despite his issues with his new contract. So shout out Mike Evans.
Yeah, it really stinks he got hurt because I think that could have been his best game against the Saints ever.
It could have been.
Because, okay, you know what stuck out to me was Mike Evans gets a catch on the sideline, absolute babies, Marshawn Lattimore. He gets up, Marshawn Lattimore slaps the ball out of his hands because they're just trying to get under Mike's skin like they've done in the past. And Mike Evans just kind of looks at him like he's a stupid idiot because he is a stupid idiot. And I was so happy to see that because Mike Evans has done some really dumb things against the Saints in the past, gotten kicked out of the game, all that good stuff. And he was dialed in, man. I think he could have gone for over 100 yards if he had played that whole game.
Yeah, hopefully he would have been in the whole game. Might have had another fight again. Shout out Bruce Arians. Let the dogs go.
He wasn't going to fight, man. He wants that Monet.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I shouldn't be giving him credit. He just wants to
I
be paid.
mean, hey, that's maturity right there.
True.
I kind of like Mike Evans fighting though. It's awesome to see.
I like him fighting, but I'm not into the whole blindside thing he did that one time. Like it was
sick
crazy.
though. Like he was getting in Jameis's face and Mike Evans just out of the nowhere just destroyed. Was that Lattimore again that he did?
It's always Lattimore.
It's always Lattimore.
It's always Lattimore.
You know, shout out a rookie stepping up too. When the Bucs had the play before the Bucs had the interception on a big Rashad White run that was called back for holding, it was not holding. Trey Palmer bullied Marshawn Lattimore and just pancaked him to the ground, and they called holding. It's like, no, he literally just bullied little Marshawn into the ground, perfect block, pancake block. He's too little, he's too weak, and shame on the refs for calling that. That was just a great block by Trey Palmer.
Yeah, Trey Palmer really had himself a game. Like, it was kind of almost like storybook, not in a great way, but it's like, well, if Mike Evans is on his way out and he might have this elongated injury, Trey Palmer looked pretty good.
Yeah, I can't wait till him and Baker get fully on the same page and Trey Palmer's getting like 5-6 targets a game. I think he's going to be so explosive. I mean, all this dude does is catch touchdowns, apparently.
Yeah, he's a touchdown machine. I also like, too, what you said. I feel like they are getting on the same page with just about everybody because Baker Mayfield threw to 8 different targets in that game. So that's big, getting the ball around to everybody, and everybody's contributing, too. That is another big thing. So you love to see that, man.
I want to shout out a really big story for the Bucs this season. So this game, the Bucs were 3 for 4 in the red zone on touchdowns. When you're in a low-scoring fist fight like it always is against the Saints, it's great to convert when you're down there. And also, I want to shout out the Bucs defense because in this season, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are second in the NFL in opponents' red zone percentage. Opponents are only scoring touchdowns 27.27% of the time when they get into the red zone.
Wow.
Like Will said, we have a defense that can keep us in any game. That's how you do it. You hold people to 3. You get a cheeky little turnover there sometimes. It's great. It's a great job.
Just like what Joe Madden says, it's not about how many runs you score, it's how many you keep off the board.
Don't bring him into it.
I think that's actually Ryan Cooper? No, what's the lighting coach name?
John Cooper.
That's John Cooper. I almost said Johnny Cooper. That's his saying.
Yeah, one thing I like to see, too, with being able to convert in the red zone is huge, but also to be able to answer the bell, what I like to call. The Bucs were up 14-3, and the Saints kick a field goal there to make it 14-6, and it is a one-score game. And instead of giving the ball right back, the Bucs were able to answer with a field goal of their own, and the Saints would answer again, and the Bucs would score a touchdown. So matching scores, always staying ahead, not faltering, because we saw that a little bit in the Bears game. The Bucs got a big lead, and they couldn't answer in the second half. They were able to shut it down on defense because that's what this defense can do. Like I said, once the Bucs get a lead, it's hard to come back. But I like to see in this game that they were able to answer the bell and score every time the Saints would in the second half.
Yeah, and every time the offense has like a long drive like that, it just makes the great defense that much more effective because it's so frustrating to see like an elite defense just lose it over the course of a game because they're getting gassed because the offense isn't moving the ball. But when you have Bucs sustaining long drives, even if it's only turning out to be a long field goal or they're punching it in like they did a couple times, the defense can just come out right back on the field, rejuvenated, energized, and ready to just get a 3-and-out and get it right back to Baker, man.
Yeah, and they're able to scheme while they're on the field resting like that. So, I mean, it's wins all around. And you see what happened with the Saints. Like, if you're going to get 3 field goals against the Bucs, you're probably going to lose. And they lost.
Yeah, shout out to them, too, for not allowing a touchdown. But, yeah, 3 field goals just ain't going to cut it against the Buccaneers.
You got to get touchdowns in football.
But, yeah, I think it's just a great thing to see the contrast from last year where, look, I love the Tom Brady comebacks. You know, you gave him too much time and he'd only have 30 seconds. It would be a miraculous Bucs comeback. But the defense so many times last year had to keep Tampa Bay in the game all the way through. And the Bucs could not score points, and there would be low-scoring games. And you'd love to see it come back at the end, but the defense had to do so much because of the offensive inability to score. So now we see the contrast of this year where the Bucs are taking time up on offense. It works out so much better for that defense because, again, it's aggressive. Todd Bowles is an aggressive defensive coordinator, and they need all the rest they can get. They need all the help they can get with points. So it's good to see the contrast from last year to this year.
It's a great way to share the load. Like, nobody's getting overworked and overtired. And if you're off the field, you're going to be getting less injuries.
Yep, there you go.
That's
and
big.
The way I see it is, would I rather be happy the whole game and have it culminate in awesome happiness, or be frustrated and mad the whole game and then have like an amazing moment? I'm taking the 2023 Bucs and the happiness throughout the game because yesterday was awesome, man. I mean, other than that like opening field goal, it was a really just a happy, joyous game. You know, Baker was making plays, defense was making plays. You watch Antoine Winfield just decking people and forcing fumbles and punching the ball out. And you're like, this is great. I love watching Bucs football. And last year, I was like, man, I cannot stand this right now. Absolutely hated it.
I do kind of love a football emotional roller coaster. Like
It's just-
like
it's
like
so-
Seminoles, Jameis Winston era.
Give me
Dude,
like
Tom Brady, Bucs era.
I love this.
Walk off.
I love Jameis at the Seminoles. I'm a Jameis lover, but man, I just look back and it's like just every Saturday was so stressful, just so stressful. I'd give myself a fever, and that's how I felt last year, man. You just sit there on the couch, and it's like, well, we got Brady. We know Brady's gonna come back, but it's like, please, can we do something? Just something this game, and like I know it is fun to see comebacks, but I like a full team effort win where they just dominate, man. It's so much better for my mental health to see just a domination, and that we've been able to see a lot of those this year, and I love it.
Yeah, show me a football roller coaster on the Sunday night football game that doesn't involve me. All right,
That's super true.
I don't want. I would love to see the Bucs blow out every single team they play. I don't need any close games. I know that's not going to happen, but I'm just saying I like the entertaining back and forth battles when they don't involve the Bucs or the Gators. That's all I'm saying.
That's a good way to put it.
I have one bone to pick with the Bucs. In this game, they did get called for 11 penalties, 91 yards. I will say the refs seem to enjoy those what's that, king cakes? That's what you get at Mardi Gras, right? They
Beignets?
they like beignets. They like the king cakes. They liked what's that place? What's the street called? Is it Bourbon Street?
Yeah.
Bourbon
Street.
Street,
Yeah, they
yeah.
like Bourbon Street. They were all about the Saints home cooking. because they had some of those penalties on the Bucs. I was like, all right, man. And some of the ones they missed on the Saints, I was like, all right, man. But Bucs did get called for 11 penalties, 91 yards. Just like half that, and it'll be a little better. We don't need big plays erased with penalties. But other than that, I mean, it was a really good football game.
It really was. Yeah, to bring up penalties, I don't know how many of them were holding, but this is what frustrates me so much with the NFL is I feel like the refs go, well, the Bucs stink at running the football. So if they're running the ball really well, that probably means they're holding. And we saw the big one with Trey Palmer that we talked about earlier that was not a hold. But it's just like, it's just going to be an uphill battle for the Bucs with their running game because the refs are going to be like that all year where it's like, well, the Bucs shouldn't have a 30-yard running play. It must have been a hold on Gedeke or Mouch, so we're going to call it back. So, yeah, shame on the refs. I hate NFL refs. They're the worst in the business. The worst in the business.
So I guess this crew is like a 1 p.m. crew. Like I guess there's like different crews for each slot. I don't know. I heard that this week, so we might get them again, which kind of sucks.
Hey, we were not getting them again in 2 weeks because breaking news, wee woo. The Tampa Bay Bucs hosting the Detroit Lions on Creamsicle Day in 2 weeks after the bye week has been flexed to 425.
Oh, that's not that good.
And it will be your Fox game of the week. We will probably hear Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olsen. I'm a big fan of their commentary duo. So get excited for that, Bucs fans, because we're getting to primetime slot, kind of. The big slot.
Yeah, big game. I cannot wait for the creamsicle. I'm still going to try to go to this game. But, yes, remember, fans, no game this week. It is a bye week. So if you have tickets for the creamsicle game, don't drive to Ray J this week. It's not going to happen.
We're
it's a bye
doing
week.
Taking its beauty.
Yeah, maybe just hang out there, walk around, look at its beauty. But yeah, since there is no prediction for the Bucs this week, we'll look back. It was a clean sweep for the TB3 boys, including Luke, who was a guest last week. We all picked the Buccaneers. Joel, you said 23-17.
I got pretty close.
Colby, you said 17-10. I said 23-16. And Luke said 21-20, which I'm definitely glad that did not happen because that would.
Luke said they were going to be down 2014 and they were going to score a last-minute touchdown to go up by 1. That was his exact prediction. So I'm glad that didn't happen. Yeah. No, that's I do. Before we move on, Chase McLaughlin, I love you, and I love that you make every kick that you kick. And also, the 51-yarder he made was good for like 65. So I feel like I got the vibe that he didn't have like a huge leg, but that kick looked good. It was down the middle, and I love that. I love anytime a Bucs can have a consistent kicker, because they never did. It was terrible.
But yeah, I think that about sums it up. Your Tampa Bay Buccaneers win 26-9 over the Saints. They are 3-1 heading into the bye week.
Man, I just don't know what to do without predictions. I don't like it.
I don't like it.
I
like this.
We could just like predict to make sure the prediction's the same next week. And the listener won't notice.
I predict the Bucs won't lose this weekend.
Yes, the Bucs are not losing this week. We could do like who's coming back from injury, which guy heals the quickest.
Who will be the funniest person in the Bucs social media this week for the bye week? No, guys, I know you guys study our logo deep and hard, and you think, wow, there's 3 logos on this TB3 logo, but I've only heard them talk about the Rays and the Bucs. Well, not to worry, because today
we are officially in October, baby.
We are officially in October. This show was started in the absolute dog days of the hockey offseason, so we haven't really talked about it. We had a lot of stuff to get to, but the Tampa Bay Lightning are playing preseason games currently, and there's some big news, and we got to get your offseason review and give you guys something to come into, because next week we should be having a full season Lightning preview, and we got to get you guys ready for that.
Gotta get you brought back up to speed.
Yeah.
Get you caught up. Yeah, we'll have our Lightning preview next week, so if you're looking forward to that, I am excited as well. But let's go back and start June 28th of this year. The Tampa Bay Lightning, after losing to the I just hate that team so much, man.
You're bringing back bad memories.
After losing to a team that does nothing.
Crap goal.
It was on their GM. Forget it. We're going to pretend like that didn't happen, but
it was a long off season.
It has felt like a very long off season.
We've been playing through the Stanley Cup for 3 years, so everything feels long.
But it's nice. It might be nice to get some rest.
I think so, too.
We'll get to that more in a little bit. But starting June 28th of 2023, the Tampa Bay Lightning would trade away Ross Colton for a second-round pick. Then, the following day, they would trade away Corey Perry to the Chicago Blackhawks for a second-round pick. Then, fast forward to July 1st, your Tampa Bay Lightning would sign Connor Sheary from the Washington Capitals. They would sign Josh Archibald from the Boston Bruins, or is it Pittsburgh? I'm not sure. Anyways, they would also sign Jonas Johansson, who's been around with a couple teams, most recently the Avalanche. He's a goalie. And we go to the following day, July 2nd. They would trade away Pat Maroon to the Minnesota Wild for a seventh-round pick. And then on July 15, 2023, the Lightning would sign Tanner Jeannot to a 2-year contract who they traded for earlier in the season. And then on August 22nd, 2023, they re-signed Brandon Hagel to an 8-year contract extension. So that has been the Lightning roster moves. We see a lot of guys go, not to mention Alex Killorn would sign to the Anaheim Ducks. I don't have the free agents up here. He was kind of the biggest one to sign away from the team. But let's stick positive. The big name that the Lightning signed is Connor Sheary from the Washington Capitals. He played all 82 games last year with 15 goals, 22 assists, 37 points total. And they got him for 3 years. He's not a super old guy, so we're excited to see him, how he can play in that lineup. But yes, the Lightning are in preseason games right now, and we'll get to the season preview next week. But I guess we have to kind of stick a little bit negative. Who are you guys most sad about leaving?
Let me
Tampa
say
Bay
something
Lightning?
about Connor Sheary, just real quick, because we're
Okay,
a big
go,
signing.
yeah.
So, last 3 years, Connor Sheary averaged 16 goals per year. Good. Also, last year, Washington Capitol. He assisted on 7 Alex Ovechkin goals last year. And when I see that, I think he's going to assist on like 10 Steven Stamkos goals this year.
Man.
So they're very similar type players. So I love to see that. I think it's a great fit. He can play on, I don't know exactly what line they're going to have him on, but he can play either wing, and I think he's going to be a great fit with the team. But to get back to your question, Will.
Yes, who are you guys most sad about leaving your Tampa Bay Lightning?
I was like going through it, man. I'm so mad we traded Ross Colton. He's such a young, fun, exciting player, and I still don't get it, man. You know, the other ones, Killorn, Perry, Maroon, I get it. They're older. They're kind of going to the tail ends of their career. They probably are too much money than what they're worth. But Ross Colton, man, he's still a young player, and he's been a major contributor as a young player to Stanley Cup runs. I mean, once he's hitting like his full stride, I think he'd be an absolute elite player, and now he's on the Avalanche. That's terrible.
Yeah, the rich get richer with that. I think I have to agree with you with Ross Colton. And I feel like you didn't get enough value for him. He's been electric for the Lightning. And to only get a second-round pick, I mean, like with hockey, it's kind of different. Some of these guys might be on your team right away. That's usually like the top 10, top 15 picks of the draft. But second round might be a couple years before you get any value for that guy, and who knows if he'll even pan out. So, yeah, I think that was a little bit of a blunder. And we've seen the Lightning, they were so well run, especially in the front office. And see a trade like that. After the Tanner Jeannot trade where they gave up 5 picks, I was like, come on, you gotta get a little more capital for Ross Colton. What do you say, Joel?
I look at sports with nostalgia. I'm gonna want Evan Longoria back until he's like 42. So I picked Pat Maroon. I get it. He only had 5 goals last year, 9 assists. He's been slowing down a lot, but there's just so much playoff experience in that guy. And you'll hear the arguments that people will give you. They'll say, "Well, the Lightning as a team now have playoff experience all around, so we don't need him anymore. Like he can go." But I'm gonna miss the wisdom that he has, like going to 3 straight Stanley Cups. Like that doesn't happen by accident. Four straight. I'm sorry, yeah, 4 straight.
He
Now
with the Blues.
He won 3 in a
He won
row.
3 straight. Went to 4 straight.
Yeah.
So I know we probably won't miss him, but the fan will miss him.
No, I'm going to miss him too because he was like one of the poster childs for the Lightning when they first were winning those Stanley Cups, especially in 2020. I'm going to miss him. I'm going to miss his mic'd up moments. He was a funny guy.
He was.
And I will miss him. It's not for his play on the ice. He's not a bad player by any means. He would get up on those boards and hold the puck until the Lightning could do like 6 line changes. He's a great fourth liner, but I'm just gonna miss him for his presence, for his oh, there's Pat Maroon on the bench. He can chirp at someone back, and I just love that about him.
He was a dog. I'm gonna dismiss that.
Yeah, I think gone are the days in the NHL where you have one guy who's a goon or an enforcer on your team throughout the year. So, like, you don't see it that much anymore, but I think with him for the playoffs especially, he was tough, he was physical, he was nasty, he was always in your face, always getting the other teams frustrated. So, yeah, that's one thing big about him that we won't have next year. Corey Perry was kind of the same way. He was a little more productive, but he was, again, just a scrappy guy, knew the playoffs in and out. So I think I wish we could have him like 10 years younger, though. We got him towards the end of his career. Kind of surprised he even went somewhere else to the Blackhawks. I guess he's gonna.
They're gonna try to flip
mentor
him.
Connor Bedard.
Yeah, they're gonna try to help. They're gonna flip him at the trade deadline for sure. But
Maybe they'll flip him back to the
he was
Lightning.
so pesky. I feel bad. He's cursed. He
cursed.
lost 2 Stanley Cups in a row with different teams, or 3. It was
3.
It was 3.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
yeah. He's cursed. I feel bad for him. I don't think he's gonna win at Chicago. But maybe we'll trade back for him at the deadline. Maybe we'll do
you
that.
could see that. You could see that happening. But maybe it's a good thing he's gone. You know, as soon as he came to the team, he lost again
That's a good
against the
point.
Avalanche. So, yeah, there's that. I think shout out Alex Killorn too. That he's been
He's
a
the one
part
that's
of the
gonna
franchise.
miss
for
the
a while.
most, man. As he was such a big part of the franchise. The Doc Talk, I'm gonna miss Doc Talk, man.
Yeah, and some people have got on him for his production, but man, he gave it his all, man. He was always giving 100% effort, and he was just kind of a staple of the Lightning, along with some of the big stars like Stamkos and Kucherov. That you could always put Alex Killorn up there too, man. So.
I think it was 21 or 22. One of those years, he had an absolutely insane playoff run. I think it was 21 when we won. But I think it was something like 8 goals in the playoffs or something like that. I wish I should have pulled it up. But he one of those, either the cup we lost or the cup we won in 21. He was he was instrumental, and he was producing then. And then ever since then, he hasn't really produced the same.
Yeah, and we got to get to some more unfortunate news out of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Your starting goalie, the lockdown and net guy, Andrei Vasilevskiy, will miss 8 to 10 weeks to start the regular season with back surgery. And so most likely we could see the Lightning make a trade or two or sign a veteran free agent goalie. But as of right now, they got Jonas Johansson, who he's bounced around with a couple teams. But let me pull up his stats here. He's played 35 career NHL games with the Avs most recently, the Panthers, and the Buffalo Sabres. And he's had 69 career games in the AHL, which is like AAA for hockey, for those of you who are wondering. He's a 39-21-6 record with 2.56 goals against average. That's a 91% save percentage. So he's pretty decent. The knock against him is, does he have enough experience to be your starting goalie for 8 to 10 weeks? That's kind of the biggest question for the Lightning right now.
I wouldn't be too concerned with that. I feel like with a team like the Lightning, we have the capability of putting like 4 goals a game up. So, like, if there's any team that you can learn on, it's a more highly offensive team like we are. And we're not as strong defensive as we once were, but I feel like we have enough defense to kind of shade him a little bit from some of those shots that would be coming at him from a lesser good team.
Yeah, and ever since 2019, when they broke the record and they got swept in the first round, I just don't think the Lightning have viewed the regular season the same way they used to, and it's turned out to be successful for them. So I'm not that concerned. As far as I can tell, as long as we're in the hunt, as long as we're getting a playoff spot, that's about all the Lightning need. I think this dude, he's a really big guy. I think he's like 6'5" and like 200 plus pounds. maybe 250 plus. But he's a big guy. I think he'll do just fine. He's not going to be Vazzy. But also I do want to talk about, there was a quote from Vazzy last year talking about how he just never felt right after the New Year, I think, or the All-Star break, one of those two big dates. So, I mean, do you guys think this is a blessing in disguise that Vazzy is going to miss like half the season?
Absolutely. It was, I want to say it was last year where there was a lot of that like turmoil going on in his home country. So I think his mind was probably taken off of the game, and like maybe he wasn't, I don't know, I want to say it wasn't working out as good, but like his heart wasn't in hockey. So now to have this injury, it's kind of a great chance for him to reset. And even John Cooper said that he'll be a refreshed goalie when he comes back. And when he comes back, he's going to be kind of getting in there at the halfway point of the season, and he's going to tune up, and he is going to be that big cat for us in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily a blessing because I'd always love to see the best guy out there, and especially when he's just so dominant in net. But I just think, too, you have to look at it like when you're not 100% physically, you're not going to be 100% mentally. And I think you go 3 straight years to postseason, Stanley Cup, you have little time to recover. And then last year we could definitely see in the playoff series against Toronto that he just wasn't the same big cat that we're used to. So I think having a little bit of a longer offseason to rest was big. But this was just kind of out of nowhere, too, because we're filming this October 2nd. And this happened like 2 days ago. So it kind of came out of nowhere, I feel like. So I kind of wish, like, maybe you could have gotten it earlier in the offseason. Maybe it's just something new that happened. But yeah, I'd still like to have him out there. But I think it is good for him to get some more rest because they haven't had it for like basically 5 years now. They haven't had really solid rest. So yeah, I guess it's good for him. I don't know if it's good for the Lightning per se.
I can agree. I think I didn't even think about the mental part. That was a good thing to bring up, Joel. But I do think when you have 3 cup runs in a row, I know 2020 to 2021 was a shortened off season too. When you're a goalie, I mean, the position you're in, on your knees, bending all around, I mean, that's not good, like, for your joints. I mean, to be on that so consistently with not enough rest, especially with a shorter off season because of COVID or because of how far they get. So to get a little extra rest, have those dogs barking less at him throughout the season, so he's more tuned up, like Joel said, for the playoffs, I do think is good. I would hope, I think the Lightning are a good enough team to withstand it, but if we can't put ourselves in the big hole. No matter how I feel about the past of the Lightning, all you want to do with Vazzy's absence is kind of just stay in striking distance, maybe have a wild card spot. Even if you're a game or 2 out, it's not a big deal. But if you do dig yourself a hole and you're like 5, 6, 7 games back, then that does kind of put more stress on the regular season, which what we've seen is when the Lightning are stressing in the regular season, they're not as good in the playoffs. So, I don't know.
There's almost a part of me that's excited about this. I'm excited about this type of adversity for the team. Like, I think that the boys are going to stand up and they're going to fight even harder in Vasilevskiy's place. And on top of that, I trust our front office more than I trust most teams. So if the goalie out there is struggling a little bit more than he should, they'll probably have a shorter leash on him and they'll go grab somebody. He might not be the best, but he'll be somebody that we'll be excited about, and it'll be a fuel for the team. And again, with all this, Vasilevskiy's going to come back, and he's probably going to be peaking in the postseason. So I'm not like, woo, he's injured, but I'm like, a new wrinkle in the dynasty.
We could always play with an empty net for the whole game if the goalie thing's not working out.
Yeah,
Do we call Cam Elliott out of retirement?
No.
Do we call it?
No.
They don't want to bring him back?
Isn't it Brian Elliott?
Brian
Elliott was really good.
Brian Elliott was, I guess.
Where is he?
Who was? No, yeah, I don't know. He's old though, man. I think I'd rather have Johannesburg. I think with his young and his frame and stuff, I think he might just be all right for the Lightning.
Yeah, we hope so. We'll get to more of an in-depth preseason, or I guess regular season preview, because their season starts, I want to say October 10th. That's a Tuesday. That's
I think it's the Friday. I think it's the 13th. I guess Red Wings. Doesn't matter, but I was looking at it.
Yeah, we'll get to it. We just had to bring some news, especially about Vazzy, so we'll get some more.
It's Tuesday 10-10 against the Preds.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Sooner than I
Red
thought it
Wings
was.
is the Friday game, but
Yeah.
the Preds is technically the first. And NBA and NHL always like those Tuesday night opening nights for some reason. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
the Lightning do open on the first night. I don't think there's any games on Monday. I think the Lightning open it up. I'm not sure about that either. But we'll get to
That's so soon.
we'll get to some more of it.
Sweet.
We've been so focused on the Rays and the Buccaneers and all the college football action that
The Lightning open up a triple header on ESPN. You got Lightning Preds, you got Penguins Blackhawks, and you got Golden Knights versus the Kraken. That's your opening night triple header. And the Lightning, again, are on opening night. So that's awesome.
Man, I hate
Yes.
that. They're like, we're going to start out Tuesday, and then we're going to be off until Friday. It's like, that's not as bad, but it's like, come on, I want it every
Gives
other
you-
night.
makes
Use
you
those
itching
Rays
for
games.
more.
I want every other night.
But yeah, if you're wondering, where's the Lightning? Where's the Lightning talk? Well, it's here, and it's going to be here the rest of the year and all the way to the Stanley Cup final. So be ready, be prepared. We're talking about the Lightning. But I did mention one thing, and that's college football. We did have some games on Saturday, and I think we got to start off with the hometown heroes, your hometown squad. Your South Florida Bulls went to Navy, America's heroes, the Navy midshipmen, and they would dominate 44-30. And they are now 2-2 on the year. And I just love this team, man. I just love it. What a big win. What are you guys' thoughts on it?
Will, you're short. You're coming up short on our USF Bulls. They are 3-2.
They're 3-2.
They
My
are
apologies.
above 500.
They are 3-2. They're
2-0
above
in conference
500.
play too. I mean, I think they're coming for that American crown, and I think, dude, they need to get that American championship game at home. I want to go so badly. That would be so
Dude,
awesome.
They
Full
got
house.
one.
Yeah.
They got really one opponent that really could be an issue for them, and that's Tulane. But other than that, this conference is all yours. It's all yours. I don't see anybody who's really that good and who's going to get in your way. And I just think, man, after that Alabama game, you could throw the other two games out. They played Western Kentucky. First game of the year didn't play well. Then they play FAMU, their FCS team. They struggled a little bit. They were able to win, whatever. But after that Alabama game, man, something changed. The culture was finally set. And ever since then, USF has been on a tear, man.
Yeah, and I'm kind of angry. I think if USF would have played Western Kentucky any other time than week
They
one,
would've-
I think they're
100%
winning that
would've won.
game.
Yeah.
That's what I think too. And so that's frustrating. They really could be 4-1.
And
But-
if it was like a coach's second year, they would have got it. Like, it's
yeah,
just like,
exactly.
That's the tune-up
Well,
game.
it's Byron Brown's first game ever starting, and
first
we
game
should
ever,
talk
yeah.
about this man because this is 2 games in a row where Byron Brown had an absolute banger, dude. 26 for 34, 338 yards in the air. His rushing yards wasn't huge this game, but he ended up throwing 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Ever since we said he can't throw against Alabama, that dude has just racked up yards and yards and made throw after throw. He's becoming a star in front of our eyes, and it's great to see.
He's just so dangerous, man. He can kill you, absolutely kill you with his legs. And then to see him just absolutely torching Navy's defense with his arm, man, it is incredible. I love this kid. And I think one thing that I like to see, I think he is getting better every single game. He's learning from his mistakes. He's figuring it out. And he's got great coaches to help him figure it out. So you love to see the improvement from game 1 to game 5, how much better he's gotten.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't have it in the Alabama game, but ever since that, like, the fire has been lit within him, and I mean, I'm ready for the Bucs to draft him. Like, you don't even have to move out of the stadium. Keep your locker.
That would be awesome.
That would be cool.
JPP
And yeah,
quarterback action.
Yeah.
And look, he didn't play well against Alabama, but you still have to think that is a team full of
Alabama.
NFL talent. That's a team full of NFL talent.
And ever since that game,
And
they've
ever
looked a
since
lot
then,
better.
he's looked a lot better. So there you go. That's what I'm saying. He's improving. Maybe he didn't have the greatest stats against Alabama, but you still have to look at that was USF's toughest opponent in probably the last 10 years that they'll face. So to see them,
Excuse me, the Florida Gators of last year?
I don't know if we.
don't know
I'm
about
not
that
gonna get in the Gators just yet.
no.
I don't get me started
Gators
too
played
early.
this weekend?
We're talking about the
All right,
Bulls. We're talking about the Bulls.
We're talking about the Bulls.
Yeah, shout out Sean Atkins too. He, the receiver, he's a whitey, he's a gym rat, he's gritty, all that good stuff. He had a monster day receiver, four receptions, but 116 yards and 2 touchdowns. So absolutely gashing Navy. Feel bad for our nation's heroes, man. They just could not handle the USF Bulls. And I think one thing too to talk about that game. is they started out 14-0, guys. They started out 14-0.
Didn't look good.
Did not look good. Sean Atkins actually fumbled a punt, muffed it. Navy scored. Then we love the guts from Alex Golish. He goes for it on 4th and 1 from our own 30, and we don't get it. And then Navy scores again, and you're thinking, goodness sakes, man. Like, the Bulls aren't gonna do well. They're gonna struggle. They are too much of a high after beating Rice. But no, they settled down. They locked in. They believed in their culture, and they took off. And they went 44-30. So shout out to the Bulls for staying mentally tough in that environment.
And shout out Tramel Logan, because big fella had a 70-yard scoop and score in the beginning of the fourth quarter. Shout out him for not dying. Shout out him for getting to the end zone. He got I think he got AAC Player of the Week or Honor Roll, something like that I saw. So shout out him. And, shout out, this was a weird game. Honestly, just shout out the USF offense, because anytime they didn't fumble, because the USF did fumble 3 times, they moved the ball at will. There was no stopping them. So, they even have room to improve after this game, because if they didn't fumble, I think this could have been a 50-piece.
Yeah, they seriously, their offense is so potent at times, man, and they can run away with it.
even.
They're a fun team. Like, when the Bulls are fun, Saturdays are fun.
That's true. I needed something after that noon o'clock game, but we'll get that later. We'll get to that, yeah.
Yeah, well,
we
maybe we can get to it. Maybe we can
about
get to it soon,
All right,
because
we need to predict this thing.
yeah,
huh?
I think we got to predict this game. They will play the University of Alabama. No, not them again. They will play University of Alabama, Birmingham, Saturday, October 7th at 4 p.m. Not on ESPN Plus, thankfully. You can watch it on live TV. It'll be on ESPN2.
Let's go.
Out UAB, they're 1-4. They're not looking good, but they love to beat Chef Golish up and this tough USF Bulls team. But before we get to that, last week, TB3 boys are right again. We all said USF would win. Colby, you were very close. Very close. You said USF would win 45-20.
Oh.
Just a couple scores away. So shout out to you. But we gotta get to it. So we'll start with you, Joel. How are the USF?
Wait, you guys know who the coach of UAB is?
No.
Trent Dilfer, former Super Bowl
yeah,
champion
okay.
and
That's
TV
cool.
analyst, is the UAB coach now. And UAB scored 21 points in Sanford Stadium against the Georgia Bulldogs. They did lose 49-21, but they scored 21, so maybe they can move the ball.
I was looking at
garbage
I was
hour?
looking at their schedule. They've been putting points on the board. So I'm gonna go high scoring game. I'm gonna go Bulls 34, UAB 24.
Okay.
So 34-24 Bulls.
Man, I think ESPN and these sports writers are disrespecting. Like, FBI got UAB a 52% chance to win, and
What?
USF's only a 3.5-point favorite. That's not happening here. USF is going to win this game 48-31.
That's a huge scoring
Dude,
game.
I'm all in on Byron
Yeah.
Brown. I'm all in on it.
Yeah, like I said, to build a successful program for Chef Golish, you can only go up. You can't go down. So you got to keep riding this high. I think the Bulls will win this game 40-14. I think they're blowing UAB out. I don't think they stand a chance. This USF Bulls team is potent. And if their defense can play super well like they've had for the most part, led by Daquan Evans, my boy, he dominated Alabama. He's going to dominate another Alabama team. So give me the USF Bulls taking this one.
All right, guys. We've been waiting for it all episode. You guys, we'll play this edition of Why is Colby Depressed? Well, on this edition of Why is Colby Depressed, we'll be talking about the Florida Gators, who went into Kroger Field and got absolutely demolished by the Kentucky Wildcats 33-14. And the demolition of this game happened on the ground because the Gators, who were a vaunted defense, we talked about all their statistics of how high they were, total defense, 5th in the nation, 1st in the SEC, and that went out the window because the Gators allowed 329 rushing yards to the Kentucky Wildcats. And 280 of those were to one person, Mr. Ray Davis, so thank you for that, my friend. You did so good. And The Gators didn't really do much on offense either. Graham Mertz threw another interception, and the Gators only converted 4 out of 13 third downs. And just to put some icing on the cake, the Gators also had 10 penalties for 86 yards. And it was an absolute terrible showing from the Gators. It was not at all what we were looking for as Gator fans, and we got a lot of questions coming out of that game.
Luke said he stopped watching it at one point. I was like, "You fake fan, Luke."
It was hard to watch.
You hear me, Luke? You need to watch the whole game if you're a Gators fan.
I was like having a conversation with someone, and I wasn't looking at my phone because I was trying to pay attention. And I was 0-0 before the conversation started, and it was 16-0 after the conversation ended. So that was just, terrible game. Come on, Will. Get your piece in. Come on here.
I don't have anything to say. I really don't.
Well, I do, because Billy Napier has only won one road game as the coach of the Gators. And this is 18 games in, one road win. So that's terrible. It was at Texas A&M, and like half their team was out with the flu. So Billy, man, I don't know what you have to do. Well, I do know what you have to do. You got to stop calling plays. That's first off. But I know what you have to do to get the boys hyped when there's not a crowd in their favor, but you've got to change your road approach because it's not working.
You guys got to go to Golden Corral every week.
Maybe.
Yeah, man. This is what happens when I try to be non-biased and I try to give the Gators some flowers and I pick them and I really think, well, maybe this team is a little bit better than I thought. And maybe I'm the one who's wrong. But you know what? Classic Gators, as always, they let me down and they just do not let me succeed in any way when it comes to them. And they lose the game for me after I predicted them to win. I didn't think Kentucky really played anybody. I thought they were like Tennessee. They just played some bums, and that's why they were undefeated. But just to get blown out like that, to get gashed. What happened? I thought the defensive coordinator for the Gators was supposed to be this defensive guru, man. And he was looking pretty sloppy. He was looking sloppy out there. Couldn't stop the run.
Yeah, they were running all over the place. Like, it was just like holes and holes and holes.
Yeah, and there's a point. Austin Armstrong definitely didn't have the best game plan, but there's a point where, as a defensive line or a linebacker, you just can't keep getting pushed off the ball like the Gators were. I mean, this defensive line showed up against Utah, showed up against Tennessee, and did not show up in this game. And Kentucky came out of the gates on fire and made them pay for it. The game was almost never in doubt. So that was...
It was definitely demoralizing for the line.
Oh, it was so demoralizing for everyone who watched that game who's a Gator fan, honestly. Things have to change. The Gators head into a home game against Vandy, who they lost to last year. I'm not a dramatic Gator fan. I want to give Billy time, but Billy Napier, this is a must-win. You cannot lose to Vanderbilt 2 years in a row. You can't lose on homecoming, at home. You got to win this game, and I would like to see you win this game convincingly heading into South Carolina, which is also a game you got to win. But this week, you can play against Vandy. Just keep it clean. That's what we asked you last week. You didn't keep it clean. You had 10 penalties, you had turnovers, and the offensive line had busted assignments. Keep it clean. Just play sound football. Don't turn the ball over. Don't have a bunch of penalties, and you should win this game easy and just get the Gator fans off your back just a little bit. So, unless you guys got anything else to say, we should just get to it. What you thinking, Will? You can go first.
Before we get to that, Joel, you did say Kentucky would win.
I didn't want to, but I had to. I was looking at them.
It's a good pick, man.
They are a high-scoring team, and I was just like, they're going to do it to the Gators. I just feel it.
Yeah, but they were like...
They were playing doopies. I don't even know if that's a word.
They were playing bums.
They were playing minor league teams, but...
Doopies.
They were playing bums. I think I watched one game at Kentucky. It was like Ball State or something like that. And they were struggling. I'm like, yeah, they're not beating the Gators, but Gators let me down. And this week, I don't want to pick them. I don't want to pick the Gators because I do not want to be wrong, especially if I'm picking the Gators to win. But I just think Vanderbilt is terrible. They look worse than they did last year, and that's hard to do. They are so lucky to be where they're at in the SEC because they definitely don't deserve it on the football side. Maybe the baseball team carries them a little bit, but football-wise, they deserve to be relegated down to maybe even Division II until they figure it out. They can't even build their stadium in time. They're playing in a construction zone with a dangling jumbotron that if the wind picks it up, it might fly in and kill some of the team.
They were doing active construction work during the game. Did you
I
see
know,
that?
that's just
crazy.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
just terribly run football program. So unfortunately, I'm going to pick the Gators again. I think they handle them pretty well, and I think they're going to figure it out on offense. They seem to be hot and cold. Maybe that's just the Gators this year. They're going to be hot and cold. So they were cold, hot, pretty hot, and then cold. So they're hot this time. They're hot this time. They're going to win 38-19.
okay.
Whenever we do this football score picking, or really whatever, it's like, and I do it next, I'm always like, I'm comparing notes and stuff, and it's like, ooh, my notes don't look good. I have the Gators losing 41-27.
Oof.
So
That's a lot of points for Vanderbilt.
I mean,
You're trying to get Billy Napier fired on
That's
Sunday.
good. He's not making the
in my
plane
defense,
ride
in my
back
defense,
to-
I looked at Vanderbilt's schedule,
Gainesville.
and they've been putting a lot of points on the board. So I feel okay with this score, but Will knows a lot about football, so I'm like, ooh, my notes don't look very good.
Yeah, you say that, and then I just want to make sure I'm right. I mean, it sounds stupid if I'm wrong, but they're 1-4, right?
Yes.
Their only win is Hawaii. I mean, that's
They've been putting up, like, I don't want to, like, be confident, but it was, like, 20 points plus every game.
yeah, but they're still losing. And how many of those are in garbage hour when teams have blown them out? And if your only win is Hawaii, anybody can beat them. They're not good.
So, no, they're 2-3. They beat
They're 2-3.
Alabama A&M. So you're saying
Okay, so they beat an FCS team
so
and Hawaii.
So you're saying the Gators are worse than Wake Forest,
Hey, man.
who lost to
any given weekend.
No, they didn't lose.
We've learned that. Any
No,
given
given
weekend.
weekend.
I don't. If
I'm probably going to be wrong, but
I'm gonna come
come
on Monday and rant, or next week and rant if they lose. But I'm saying the Gators are gonna win 34-14.
Yeah, and I hope they win. I really do.
I mean, I don't want them to lose.
Just for the fact that I want to be right in this prediction game that we have. Now I think we have to talk about the GOATs, the Sunshine State champs. You can't beat them. You might as well join them. Your Florida State Seminoles get off of a win against the bye week this week. They are at number 5 in the nation. It's been there 2 weeks in a row, but every week they've received some number 1 votes. They are the team of destiny. I believe in this Florida State team. And they play this week, 3:30 at home against the Virginia Tech Hokies. So no Enter Sandman for you guys. You're going to have to be on the road, and you're going to hear the war chant, and it's going to be loud in there. Everybody's excited to see the team back in Doak for the first time since Southern Miss. So I think we just go straight into predictions for this one.
Enter Sandman is one of the most overrated sports traditions in ever. I'll say it.
Okay.
It's overrated.
I agree with you to an extent. It looks so cool. Like, it looks so cool when you see, like, their entire... Okay, first off, one thing is, like, okay, how do they fill up that stadium? They're, like, mediocre at best, and they really haven't been good since Michael Vick. But they still fill out that stadium, so I guess shout out to them and seeing everybody jump around. It looks electric. But, again, it's like you haven't played anybody big. The last time they played anybody big was Ohio State with Braxton Miller in, 2014 or something? Like, that was their last time they were on, like, a primetime game or something like that.
That was a good
So,
game.
yeah, like, it'd be cool if this was, like, a powerhouse team and College Game Days there every other week, and you got Kirk Herbstreit and what's his nuts there announcing the game.
Chris Fowler,
sorry. No disrespect to him. I love those guys. But, yeah, it would be different if it was like they're a powerhouse team, but when they play virtually nobody and go like 4-8, 5-7, it kind of takes away from it.
I'm just not a fan of it. It's cool, but it's like everyone. I see it posted like 5 times a day, and I'm like, oh, they did Enter Sandman. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, like
there's
12
way-
o'clock
Yeah.
against Virginia.
Yeah, I bet a lot of those students leave after that.
Probably.
Dude, I bet that's what
And,
it is.
dude, the thing is, too, you see how long it takes them to walk over there? Like, their entrance is like a mile away, and they have to walk through this little tiny tunnel forever. Like, that just seems so stupid. Like, why don't you fix that if you want to make it a little more interesting?
They have weird stadiums. Their basketball stadium is like, it's hard to describe this, but on the like north side, there's just like a wall. Like the student section is just like one section all the way up. It's like kind of cool, but they just have weird stadiums
It's
at
weird,
Virginia
yeah,
Tech.
It definitely is weird. Weird school. But anyways, that's Florida State's opponent this week. I wasn't here to talk about the big win against Clemson.
Yeah.
The
I'm
boys did
sad
a
I
good
missed
job.
that.
They did a good job.
Wasn't able to talk about it. Yeah, I was pretty nervous. But like I've said all along, I believe in this team. There's just something special about them. And look, that was the changing of the tides. That was the passing of the torch. And your Florida State Seminoles are now atop of the ACC like they should be and always have been. So, Joel, what do you think this week will be as far as score and who takes the dub?
I am not a fan of blowouts. If you listen to the show, you know it. I'm always like, Florida's gonna win by 3 points against that cupcake. But here I'm gonna go big. I'm going 37-13 FSU.
I like it.
I think FSU's coming out of this bye week with some vengeance. I think they're tired of the close games. Virginia Tech's not good. They lost to Marshall. That's so random.
Marshall.
Yeah, there you go. So I'm going to say FSU wins 51-17.
51-17. I would love to see that. Yeah, I think the Seminoles have just, ever since that LSU game, I feel like they've definitely needed a break. I think that was just such a huge game to start the year, and especially it was like number 5 and number 8. And ever since then, they've kind of started to fizzle a little bit. So I really think this bye week has helped them a lot. I think they're going to come in prepared. They're not going to come out flat like they had been the past couple weeks. So yeah, I think FSU gets it done 45-6.
And I think
No
you just-
touchdowns.
I
Missed
think-
extra point.
I think you just made a great segue.
2 field goals.
2 field goals.
2 field goals, I think so. You made a great segue because I think we should talk a little college football just to
I love this part.
sprinkle
I
some
love-
salt. And I think we should talk about the game of the week. And that involves the LSU Tigers losing at the SIP to Ole Miss 55-49. This game was entertaining and amazing from the start, and I loved every moment of it.
Yeah, I loved watching that game. Again, I'm an ACC homer. I love the Seminoles, but there is something about Saturdays in the South, the SEC, a big matchup. But you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I was really not surprised about the outcome. I really wasn't. I think Brian Kelly never shows up in big games and doesn't have his team prepared, and his defense has some issues, man. Giving up 50 points to 2 top 25 teams this year already, I mean, that's pretty ridiculous. And just zero clutch ability. And I think he could be on the hot seat already. I really think he could, because you're supposed to come in here and return LSU to their Joe Shiesty days where they're winning a national championship. And again, this is just classic. You saw him do this at Notre Dame. He would just never win big games. He would go 10-2, 9-3, 11-1, but when it really mattered, he would not win it for them. And I think he's going to do the same at LSU, and he already has. So, yeah, I wasn't really surprised. I wasn't surprised. It was good for Ole Miss. I was rooting for him, but, yeah, I wasn't surprised about the outcome.
Joel, this was your game. Did you get it? Did you catch any of it? Did you watch any of it? Because this is like your premium.
The LSU one?
Yeah. Did you watch? It was your premium, high-scoring, close, back and forth the whole time game. You would have loved it.
I don't know what I was doing on Saturday, but I feel like I didn't watch very much college football.
You would have. Yeah, that's fine, man. You would have loved it. And then I think we should go down to the Plains, to Jordan-Hare Stadium, where the number 1 Georgia Bulldogs got everything they could handle in a 27-20 victory at the Auburn Tigers. This game, I mean, it was a dogfight.
I was watching this game.
Yeah, Auburn was hanging in there. They're using 2 quarterbacks. They're running them. They're doing everything they can. Hugh Freeze is looking for his first big win at Auburn. But Brock Bowers, who I think, we're being honest, pound for pound might be the best player in college football.
Yeah, he's the best player in the nation.
He
really
stepped
is.
up and got the game-winning touchdown in the fourth quarter. Carson Beck was like a little child hanging on to him for dear life, looking for him at every point that he could. And Georgia pulled it out, man. They've had a couple nail-biters, so they don't look as good as they have in the past.
But
Yeah.
nail-biters are fun.
They're
Oh,
fun,
yeah.
but I think this is okay. You're gonna get mad at me because I'm gonna segue into the Seminoles again. But this is what gets me excited. is I think Georgia is very beatable. They are not the dogs they were the past 2 seasons. They really are not. And I predict they will get beat at least once down the road in the regular season. I think somebody will beat them. Maybe
the Gators.
Maybe the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, whatever they call it. I would be a little upset about that if that's the one. But I think they're getting beat. They're getting beat by somebody, and they're not the same national championship team. And so you look at that and like, man, FSU has a real shot. There's really nobody that scares me. I think Michigan are frauds. I think Ohio State, they're going to end up being frauds. Yeah. And then Notre Dame,
Texas.
They look very beatable. Texas, no, I never believe in Texas, dude. I never believe in them.
That's Red River Showdown coming up this week.
What about like USC or
USC doesn't have the defense.
Oregon or Washington.
Yeah, Oregon
or Washington are contenders.
Yeah, I just don't know if any of those teams have a good enough defense. I really don't think so. They have high-scoring offenses, but again,
no, we just saw Oregon hold Colorado to 6.
That was a real eye opener.
Yeah, I don't know.
Dan Lanning's a defensive coach. I think Oregon's legit.
The thing is, though, is that I just with Coach Prime and how CU talks and all that, everybody wants to beat them. And even though Oregon was a better team, you better be sure as heck that Oregon was not going to lose that game. That was the biggest game of their season, and they had to win that game, and they had to win it mightily. So I don't know. The Pac-12, I'd love to see them be good. I'd love to see maybe 2 Pac-12 teams sneak into the top 4. But none of them scare me because we've seen the past couple of years they kind of start to beat each other out towards the end when they really start playing each other. And so, yeah, we'll see. I'm not scared about USC at all. They have no defense.
Yeah, I think a Georgia-Florida State national championship would send this country into anarchy, and it would ruin everything. So let's not do that.
The rednecks would be.
Yeah, I don't know if Georgia. I really think, and I just doubt it will happen because the voters are so biased. But this could be a year where you might not see a SEC team make it. If my prediction rings true, because I don't think Georgia's that good, and they really could get beaten off once or maybe even twice. I think if Alabama gets in, it's a travesty. It's a shame. They don't deserve it. LSU,
you haven't watched them play the rest of the season, man.
Yeah,
they looked a lot better the last 2 games.
Against who, though?
Okay,
against who?
I mean, Ole Miss.
But
and
Ole
then
Miss,
at Mississippi
Ole
State.
Miss doesn't thread the needle for me.
If they get into
and
the
Mississippi
playoff,
State sure as heck doesn't thread the needle for me either.
You're not gonna
say
Mississippi,
man.
You're not gonna say Ole Miss threads the needle less than Clemson does.
Yeah, but Clemson is a tough team, and they've been the kings of the ACC. They're a tough team, and the Florida State has struggled with them. And again, like I said, when you're the best team, teams are going to play you like it's their Super Bowl. And they were in a tough environment, but they still came out and found a way to win. They still won.
I think if Alabama wins the rest of their games, including a win against LSU, a win against Georgia, and I don't know who else they have on their schedule. Their only losses against Texas, who could also very well be in the playoff. They definitely are going to get in and deserve to get in. That's me.
I don't think so.
That's me.
I really don't think so because, again, like I've said, the SEC has played nobody, and when they had played somebody, they've all lost. I need to see them win somebody outside of the SEC for me to go, okay, maybe they're legit, but I think it's the weakest conference this year. I really do.
It's not.
I think the Pac-12 is the strongest. I think Florida State's the better team.
No.
I trust Florida State over anybody in the SEC. I really do. I think they're not good because, again, tell me who they've beaten. Tell me one quality SEC win this year of non-conference opponents outside of the SEC.
Auburn beat Cal. I'm kidding. Okay, I don't disagree with that statement, but I think when the dust settles, you'll probably see an SEC team in the national championship, and they'll win a playoff.
And if it's
game.
Alabama, they don't deserve it. They don't.
I think
they played
based
this
on
year. They
recency,
don't deserve it.
like Georgia could make it with like 1 or even 2.
If
losses.
Georgia goes undefeated, they'll go in automatically. It doesn't matter how
any
SEC
team that wins the conference has 1 loss deserves it. And I'm sorry, but that's just the truth.
I don't think they do. I really don't think they do this year. It's different. I'm not saying this is every year. I'm saying this year. From what I've seen from the SEC, it's doo-doo. It's mid. And if Georgia loses a game, maybe you can argue for them to go in. But Alabama definitely now. 100% now. I don't think Alabama deserves it at all.
Well, I guess we agree to disagree. I'm losing by 0. I'm winning by 0.02 in fantasy football right now.
Is there anybody left?
No, but this is the problem. I have Darren Waller and they have Daniel Jones. So I don't think I'm gonna lose this. But if he would just throw to Darren Waller at all, I think I got it. I need like a Daniel Jones interception.
That's dangerous, dude. I don't know.
Dude, it's gonna be so close. But yeah, that's the tangent. Yeah, we talked about CU. They lost another game. They looked a lot better, but I think that kind of more proves that USC is like the third or fourth best team in the Pac-12. Shout out to Pac-12 for scheduling a ranked game on Friday night. That was awesome. Good job for Oregon State. Utah, get Cam Rising back. We need you back, brother.
Yeah, I felt bad for Utah because they called them frauds, and it's like they haven't had Cam Rising all year.
Oh.
So I don't know if you can really call them frauds.
Duke, Notre Dame. We haven't talked about that. That was a heck of a game.
That was a good game.
It was a heck of a game. Duke, prayers up for Duke's quarterback. I don't know what the update is on him, but that was a scary-looking play at the end. But, I mean, Duke comes back, gets the 1-point lead. Then Notre Dame, Sam Hartman gets like a 4th and 16 run. They get the 2-point. They run it in. Some crazy plays. Good defense. Electric environment. That was a fun game, man.
You're calling ACC game electric?
It was electric. It's Duke, man.
Yeah. I don't know.
Cameron Crazies. 2
things for that. I just feel like Notre Dame should have won that game by a lot. They looked like the better team, but yet they have. I don't know what their problem was, man. They came out.
Their offense isn't clicking right now, man.
And then it just slowly fizzles out throughout the game. And then Duke is the opposite. They couldn't get their offense going at all until the fourth quarter. And I just think the team like FSU can score points October 21st. If FSU jumps out to a lead, I think they're going to hold on and score a bunch of points. So I'm a little less worried about Duke now after seeing that.
And you don't know who their quarterback's going to be.
Yeah, and if Riley Leonard's out too, he's done. I think it's probably the way it looked to me like a high ankle sprain, so that could be like a month or more. So
all right.
Yeah, I feel bad for him though. I mean, he is a baller. He's a baller.
He's going to be a good NFL quarterback, I think. Probably better than Daniel Jones.
Yeah, Daniel Jones, I didn't even think he was that good in college.
No, he wasn't.
And then he comes the NFL.
He was one of the random people who were like, that guy's that high on the draft board?
Yeah, I feel like NFL with quarterbacks, like so many guys just out of nowhere. It's like you watch the games as a fan and you go, okay, they really just don't seem that good to me. And then NFL's like, oh man, it's the greatest quarterback of all time. And then sure enough, like clockwork, some team picks them and then they're terrible. And it's like, I could have told you that. And I'm not getting paid millions of dollars to be a GM. Like, I could have told you Zach Wilson was terrible. Yeah. That was stupid. I could have told you, I could have saved the Jets so much trauma, like whatever it was, 3 years ago, because I wouldn't touch Zach Wilson. I wouldn't even drafted him at all. I wouldn't even touch him. If I needed a quarterback, I would have gone with literally anybody else that year. But
you sound like Rodney Harrison.
I'm just a fan.
You sound like Rodney Harrison. But, guys, Week 6, rapid-fire picks. I want them from you. Oklahoma, Texas, Red River showdown. Who you got?
Texas.
Yeah, I got Texas, too. I think Oklahoma has played nobodies.
Yeah, they're fraudulent.
They're frauds, yeah.
Yep, Texas wins that game, in my opinion. All right, another fun one. We have Missouri hosting the LSU Tigers. Who you got?
Let's go with the fun pick. Let's go Missouri.
LSU. Missouri are frauds as well.
I think LSU is going to come back with a vengeance. Missouri's a higher ranked team though. Washington heads into UCLA. Washington State heads into UCLA. Are the Cougars legit?
That'll be close, but I think I'm gonna give it to UCLA.
I would go UCLA.
I'm going Washington State. I believe in them. The Apple Cup is going to be amazing this year. Alabama heads into College Station. Jimbo Fisher, can he get another close game and win against Nick Saban? What do you think, Will?
No, I believed in the hype early. They let me down, and now they're like, "Oh, Texas A&M. Maybe we should still believe in the hype." But no, Alabama will win.
I want Colorado so bad on that one. So
Alabama and Texas A&M.
A&M.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misheard that. I'll go Alabama.
All right, I think Alabama too because I think they're winning out and going to the playoff. But that's a different story. The recently newly ranked Kentucky Wildcats, after stomping some stupid team, heads into Sanford Stadium against the number 1 Georgia Bulldogs. Does anyone think Kentucky can pull this upset?
No.
I'm going to say yeah.
Well, I feel like they could, but I'm not going to give it.
Devin Leary had a really bad game against the Gators. Like, if the Gators could have stopped the run at all last game, Devin Leary was so bad that we should have won that game. I just don't think he's going to play good enough. I think Georgia's going to win this game.
Yeah, it might be close. It might be another
That'll be a good game.
I
awful
think
game
so.
for Georgia fans to endure.
It's going to be like it could be a really low-scoring game. Also, another fun Notre Dame game. Notre Dame heads into newly ranked number 25 Louisville Cardinals on the road. It's been a while since we've seen a fun, big Louisville game with some probably sick jerseys. Does anyone think Louisville is going to hold on at home and get this win?
No, I watched the game against NC State, and that was kind of a big game for them because there's their first real opponent, and they struggled big time. I think NC State should have won that game. They didn't make too many mistakes like they did. I think Louisville, they're a fun team, they're a good team, but I don't think they have what it takes to beat Notre Dame.
Maybe the home crowd could power Louisville. I'm like, let's give them a home field advantage.
Getting flashbacks to
I'll go Louisville.
getting flashbacks to Clemson, Louisville, Saturday night primetime, Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson. You guys remember that game? Oh, that was a doozy.
That was a crazy team.
That was a fun year. So that's it. That's your college football. I think we're going to move on because, like we said, we had a Rays episode, but I think we have a little bit of house cleaning. We want to talk about the last week of the regular season just a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I'll get
Make sure to listen to the Rays.
It was really good.
October Wild Card Edition.
Yes.
It was really fun. I think it was some great product we made.
All right, quickly. Rays, Tuesday night, head into Fenway Park. 2 games. The Rays come out firing. They end up scoring 3 runs in the first inning, 7 runs unanswered to start the game. Rene Pinto hits a home run, but then the Boston Red Sox score 6 unanswered, and the Rays end up being able to tack on 2 more to make it 9-6. They win this game 9-7. Zach Eflin in his final start of the regular season went 5 innings pitched, 5 hits, 3 earned runs. Very decent for him. I'm excited to see him pitch in October. Then we head on to the next game. This is Tyler Glasnow's last start of the regular season, and he looked really good, which was good to see. He went 5 innings pitched, only 2 hits allowed, 0 earned runs, and 9 strikeouts. And in this game, Josh Lowe was able to get his home run, get him to 2030 club actually. Good for him. Harold Ramirez, sacrifice fly. Marion Walmart goes, stays hot. Isaac Paredes hits another home run. Good for you, buddy. He wasn't able to get to 100 RBIs, but he got very close. And then the Rays head into Rogers Center for the last series of the season. And the Rays kind of do like a pseudo tune-up bullpen day as Aaron Savali goes 1 time to the order, Zach Eflin goes 1 time to the order, Erasmo goes 3 innings in his last appearance as a Ray. Littell and Savali both look decent. This was actually Littell's worst game in a while, but it's all right. Colin Poche, Taj Bradley went an inning. So we're just tuning all these people up. The Rays did lose this game 11-4. Yandy Diaz hit another home run and is returned to the lineup, so I think he will be just fine, ladies and gentlemen. And then this game was fun because the Rays head into Rogers Center for the second game with the Blue Jays looking to clinch their playoff spot, and the Rays play spoiler. They get up to a 2-0 lead, and then the Blue Jays get 4 quick runs in the 3rd and 4th inning, go up 4-2. But then Harold Ramirez hits a 2-run home run to tie it in the 5th, and the Rays bullpen was spectacular in this game. The only earned run was against Cooper Criswell, who will not be on the roster, but Armstrong, Kittredge, Diekman, Stevenson, Fairbanks, Davinsky, all 0 earned runs. Great stuff. And the Rays in the top of the 10th inning got a huge hit from everyone's favorite player, Taylor Walls. 2 RBI single, 100-mile-per-hour fastball under the zone. Doesn't matter, right in the center field. And then Junior Caminero hits an infield single, beats it out. Rays go up 7-4. Blue Jays only get 1 back. The Rays win that game 7-5. However, the Mariners lose, so the Blue Jays do clinch. And then the final game of this awesome season for us, the Tampa Bay Rays go out with a bang as the Rays score 8 unanswered runs to start the game. This was culminated with who else but a Jonathan Aranda grand slam. I mean, that's crazy. Jonathan Aranda had a huge game.
He's been getting hot.
Yeah.
He's hot.
3 for 5, 6 RBIs. Maybe he's having a Randy-type postseason. Who knows?
We've been calling for it.
Jacob Lopez from AAA started this game. He gave it his all, gave up 5 earned runs, but I think he could be a part of your 2024 Rays. Good for him. But then
why did they wait till the last day to call him up?
They called him up earlier this season as a bullpen guy, but he's been starting AAA all year. So I don't know. We'll see. The Blue Jays got 8 runs. don't matter. Harold Ramirez got some of your RBIs. Jonathan Aranda had 6. Like I said, Junior Caminara hit his first career Major League home run, giving me my prediction to be correct. And that was your week in Rays baseball. They were 4-1, so good for them. Some house cleaning from this last episode, if you were coming off of that. We did say that we thought Nathan Eovaldi would be the game 1 starter for the Rangers. It is actually going to be Jordan Montgomery, I think, from all reports. I don't think they've officially announced it. They're trying to get tricky with us, and that never worked against the Rays. So, yeah. But, so you're most likely looking at Glasnow versus Montgomery, and then Eflin versus Eovaldi. So we're heading into that game. We're feeling strong. Shout out the Rays for hitting their most home runs ever in a season in franchise history. Congrats to all the boys. And, I mean, you guys got anything you thought about that you didn't say yesterday or anything like that?
Yeah, actually a little bit. Just one thing to bring up, I think, just again to reiterate how hard this team has worked and why I believe in them so much is we can talk about the injuries, we can talk about the terrible month of July, but this team still won 99 games. That's the second most in franchise history, and they're in the playoffs, man. And we've seen what they can do with how little they have. And I just believe in them, man. I really do. And I think a lot of people probably look at this season so negatively, but you still have to look at the upside. They still got to the postseason. They still won 99 games. They were still battling for the division right until the end. And you never know what can happen. You never know what can happen. Baseball is truly a magical sport. And there's nothing like October ball. And I'm just so excited to see the team. And I'm proud of them. And I want that to be a thing to think of, too. Like, don't think of the negatives about this year. Think about how this team was still able to figure it out. Another thing, they finished with 11 walk-off wins. That was the most in all of the MLB. So this team can win, and they can fight. They can come back. We've seen it all year. Despite whatever's happened off the field, so many issues. So, yeah, I'm so proud of this team, and I want that to be the thing people think of.
Yeah, we really could have crumbled for so many reasons, like not continuing on with that April success, the Wander issues. Like, this team could have just took the bed, or that's not what I'm saying, but they could have just went to sleep, but they didn't. They're still here. We'll see what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it was some of these moments were not great, but to see them battle through it was so inspiring for me, just as a fan, just in my life. And it's just good to see, and I have so much confidence that we're going to see another walk-off win, or we're going to see a comeback, or we're going to see maybe someone go down and someone step up in their absence in the playoffs. I think it's going to be awesome. I'm so excited for Choptober, and, I mean, that's about it. I guess we should go back through. What do you got, Joel?
Oh, Joel will be at the game tomorrow. He'll be at game 1, so we'll have a
Upper
TV
deck,
correspondent.
baby, upper deck,
and
team,
maybe
brother.
if we get to game 3, I think I might go. It might work out for me to go to game 3 if the time gets flexed or something like that.
When the upper deck's open, I'm there.
Yeah.
I mean, with the Yankees game this year, upper deck open, I was there.
Yeah.
I will have to wait
I
until
love the upper deck.
I'll have to wait till the divisional round, unfortunately. But yeah, I think we should just go over last week. Joel, you said
I was very negative.
the
I'm
Rays would
sorry.
go 2-3. Okay, that's not
I thought I
terrible.
went 1-4.
But you did say Isaac Paredes would hit a home run, which he did. Colby said 3-2, but
They outperformed the Jolly Roger, man.
they
That's
did,
crazy.
which is good. That's a
Yeah,
good thing.
they're going
And
in
Junior Caminero hit you a bomb. I said 3-2 as well, but I did say Josh Lowe hit me a bomb, which he did. And then Luke, first guest appearance, went 2 for 2. He said Josh Lowe as well.
Did he
and he
sweep?
say the Rays would go 4-1.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
I think he got every single one
Yeah,
right,
he did. I mean, outside of like the exact score.
What a little
But, well, no, he
twerp, man.
picked Florida. He picked
Yeah.
Florida.
Oh,
That's
okay,
where he
good,
went wrong.
good,
He picked
good,
Florida.
good. I can have that. That would have been
But
annoying.
yeah, and then let's go. We predicted. I can't remember what this was Ethan's episode that he guest appeared on, but we predicted the postseason. So shout out to Ethan. What I did is I gave people points only if he got the exact team in the exact spot. So Ethan predicted the Central and third place would be the Twins on the AL side and the Brewers on the NL. He got both of those, and then that Philly would be wild card 1. I predicted the Braves would win the National League. East, and they would be the number 1 seed, so I got that. I predicted the Rays, on the other hand, to win. Unfortunately, they didn't do that. I picked the Dodgers to win the National League West and to be in second place, which I got that right. I got the Twins and Brewers. I feel like the Twins was a gimme. And then I predicted the Phillies right at Wild Card 1, and I predicted the Blue Jays at Wild Card 3. Colby, you got the Braves right at NL East champs and first seed. Dodgers right at second. Brewers and Twins correct, and the Phillies correct at Wild Card 1. And then I was saving the best for last because Joel, you got Orioles and Braves right, Astros and Dodgers right, Twins and Brewers right, Rays and Phillies right, and you got the Rangers at Wild Card 2. You kind of fell off towards the end, but you were perfect all the way.
Really wrong.
You were perfect all the way until Wild Card 2, and you still got 1 of 2 right there.
I'm mad because I had Diamondbacks and Marlins, and I think I flipped them, man.
I don't know why I didn't pick them.
Dude, I'm mad. Dude.
Okay.
I felt good about those picks too. And
I didn't pick the Diamondbacks and Marlins because I hate them.
Well, I think the Diamondbacks were like in the 2 slot for like the whole time, and they lost on the last day. So good. Thank you, Diamondbacks. I could have looked real smart, but instead I don't.
Yeah, I was going through it, and I was like, we got so many teams right that made the playoffs, but I thought it was kind of big how we do it to make sure it was 1-1, make sure it was 100% right. Because, we got a bunch of teams right. Like, Colby, you got the Rays, Braves, Rangers, Dodgers, Twins, Brewers, Orioles, Phillies, Mariners, D-backs, Astros, Marlins. Well, you didn't get the Mariners right, so you got a lot of teams, but I just feel like we had to keep it pretty fair because I think we all would have had like 1,000 points.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but what's kind of crazy is because you did so well, Joel, you've taken the lead in the predictions. You now lead with 31 correct picks. I'm in second place with 30. Colby, you were in third with 28. Ethan has 5 now. Luke has 4. So Luke in one episode got 4. He's almost caught up to Ethan. So we do have some more predictions coming up with how the wild card will go down. So Ethan might take the lead there.
Yeah, and
Joel is now the leader after
Wow.
11 episodes.
Don't call it a comeback.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then, just to be clear, we'll say it on this episode. We said on the other ones, but Joel said the Rangers will win this series in 3, and he said...
Aaron Savali's going to serve us up.
What home run? What'd you say? Yandy? No, someone else said Yandy.
I said Harold Ramirez.
You did say Harold Ramirez. I said Rays will win in 2, Isaac Paredes, and you said...
I said Rays in 3 because I just get scared, and I didn't want to... I want to give them, just give them the full 3 games. They got to get it out, yeah. And I said Randy because I want playoff Randy back. I really do.
I'm like, if...
Game 3, Aaron Savali scares me.
I think I can go to Game 3, so I'm kind of rooting for it because I kind of want to go to Game 3. But also, elimination game live in person. That's gonna, that's gonna be.
You better be hoping for a good Aaron Savali start.
I'm going to bring my A game as a fan. But yeah, so listen to that episode. Listen to all the other episodes. I think that's it, man. I think we're wrapping up.
What time is the Rays game, and where can the fans watch it on Tuesday, October 3rd?
The Rays game is at 3:07 p.m. on a Tuesday. Thank you, MLB. And you can watch this game on ABC, and it's the same thing on Wednesday. Same channel, same network, same time. And then on Thursday, if all of the wild card games go to 3 games, the Rays game will be at 3 o'clock. However, if the wild card games get switched around and a couple teams win in 2, then the game will get moved to a later time. So that's what we're hoping.
That might be nice because then I might be able to
That's
go
what
to
I'm saying. So that's what we can all hope for.
Maybe that's why I predicted Rays in 3.
Yeah.
Let's play Aaron Savali in 2, and then we'll lose that game.
Hey.
Have faith, man. That was our big trade.
You know what's going to happen?
He's going to get cleaned up next year.
No, you know what's going to happen? Out of nowhere, Zach Littell is going to start, and he's going to go 5 strong innings. That's what's going to happen.
That.
And the Rays will give him run support.
Yep.
The Rays will give him run support.
I mean, if I was the Rays, I would do that.
I think I would do Littell too, honestly. But I think they're going to go Savali. I have no idea. They might try to piggyback and do some funky stuff. I don't know. All I
we'll
know,
find out.
All I know is it's October and anything can happen. It's Troptober. It's time to lock it in, get your cowbells, get your fingers conditioned for it because it's time to get loud for the Rays, man. You're going to have a whole month of it.
I have cowbell calluses. Don't let the fans around you tell you to stop. There might even be Rays fans that tell you to stop.
Don't
and I'm
listen to
telling
them.
you,
Don't
don't
listen to
listen to them.
No.
We are a cowbell nation.
Don't do it.
Look, and tickets are very cheap. This
$30.
is
I got mine for $30.
$30.
Upper deck.
This is playoff atmosphere. If you do not have anything going on in the next 3 days, I just please put together $30 and go support your Rays. Playoff atmosphere. It's so rare in baseball, man. There's so many games, and there's 30 teams and only 6 spots. So this is rare. I know the Rays have been good the past couple years, but you never know. Bad stuff can always happen. We don't believe that, though. We know the Rays will be good forever. But, yeah, make sure to go and support the Rays. If you got nothing better to do the next at least 2 days, maybe 3, go support your Tampa Bay Rays.
Let's do it, man. Thank you guys for all your support. Like I said, listen to the special edition episode. It was great stuff. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter/X. Listen on Spotify and YouTube. And we'll take you out.
Yes, this is ESPN's baseball theme, which will probably switch to ABC. I doubt they'll come up with something new. So this is what you'll be listening to Tuesday, October 3rd at 3:08 p.m. Raise up, go Rays. Paint that roof orange, baby.
Oh,
we love to
yes,
see it.
yes.
Let's go Rays. Thank you for listening.
Raise up.